Hey, new friends, people. Ladies and gentlemen, I have no friends. All right, Ted, you on? All right. I got good eyesight. Can you look all the way back there? I can.
Can I see yours?
Yeah, I will be able to. You won't be able to see?
See Ted?
No. But comments when they pop up, you know, they
Oh,
come over
yours?
here.
Yeah.
I mean,
From
can
here?
y'all can y'all see me?
Move it up.
Yeah, I can see it. That's why I was just asking.
Oh,
you.
yeah. No, I can't see that.
Yeah, I can see you clear. Well, everybody gonna see you because you right on the main screen. With me.
All right, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? How's everybody living?
All right, bro, it's popping. Yep, here we go.
All right, man. Episode 7.
Yeah.
You know, we in the building.
Yeah.
You know, we got some interesting things to talk about tonight. We got Sam with us.
Hey, Sam.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Dope many things photographer,
Oh man, I just said pictures.
entrepreneur, social worker. You know, the list goes on and on. So we're glad to have her here with us.
That's right.
I'm sure she's gonna have a lot of valuable input. I'm so mad at my viewers, man. I'm gonna start deleting people. Start deleting people if they don't view the show, man. But
we got Ted on my screen. What up, boy?
How y'all doing?
But my people,
I'm on injured reserve right now, but I'll be back.
That's weak.
Yeah.
Super weak.
He said that sucks for you. What's going on?
They can't see you on his. You only rocking with my people.
Yeah,
He got like 3.
You a voice. So sick.
You all right?
Yes.
So, you know, we're gonna start it off the way we always started off. Touch on everybody's weekend, see what y'all had going on, how y'all weekends went. You know, then we're gonna get into it. So how your weekend go, man?
My weekend just like it was last week. Not good. Like it's just been, you know what I'm saying? It's been okay. Scale to 1 to 10, I'm giving my weekend last weekend like a 5. This weekend a 6. Not no bad stuff. It's just like stuff could just be a whole lot better as far as like things that I could do and things that can be done. You know what I mean? Because I Uber a lot. But with the weather being bad, we don't bring in that much bread because it's raining, stuff like that. And then a lot of family situations going on. I'm in and out of town, making sure they straight and all that. It's just a lot. It's a lot. So like trying to get my feel back, my peace back at the same time. Yeah. So I went up a meter a week this week.
Well, whatever happened with the dude that slammed you on your car? You figured that out?
He's free. He's free. Hopefully he all right.
So last week he had a situation in his Uber, man. Somebody got his Uber, stepped on his ear or something.
No, my whole cable box joint that I have in the car.
Oh, like wireless.
Yeah, my wireless.
He said his AirPod.
He got rowdy. And the guy slammed him outside.
Dude, that ain't slammed me.
He
I slammed him on the car. I slammed him.
Man.
He threw my internet joint out the window and all that. He crossed the line. So man, wow. This new age, people don't care about other people's stuff. So, you know, had to put him down. That's all.
All right, Sam, how was your weekend?
It was amazing.
Okay.
You have an amazing week. That's a big word.
That's
a big
it
word.
was not.
Amazing.
What did I do this weekend? It'd be like a blur. You know, it's like Friday, then it's Monday.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens in them days in between. Let's see. What did I do this weekend? My daughter's graduating in a couple days, so we did her stage pictures on Saturday. Somehow that took up all of Saturday. I don't even understand how, but it did. And Sunday I had a photography event, a book signing event that I had to cover. So somehow that took up all of Sunday. So I don't really know. I work.
You work a lot. And that's amazing. You work all week.
I mean, I could not be working at all.
That's a fact.
So I could not be getting any extra money.
Can't be mad at that. That's beautiful.
We'll take it as amazing.
Yeah, we'll take it as a win.
That be like tripping me out, man. You work so hard, like just to get to the weekend. The rest of the week be going by real slow.
Yep.
But as soon as you get to the weekend, it be like,
yep,
it's
back to work.
Like
You know what
when
I'm
did
saying?
it start? Because it's over.
Back to work,
man.
Yep.
Yeah, I hate that. Ted, how was your
How was
weekend,
your weekend,
man?
Jeff?
Y'all, man, my weekend was crazy. It's always crazy. Y'all already know how my weekends go. Well, Friday, man. Well, let's start with Thursday. I'm gonna start with Thursday. I know it's not the weekend, but Thursday I went to an event at Miller School. I mean, cut some kids for free. It was amazing. Friday, oh, I was booked up, man. I had my back was hurting and everything. But I pressed through, so that was that. Saturday and Sunday, I really chilled for real, for real. Like after I got left the shop on Saturday, I just chilled for real. Sunday, I definitely chilled, like all the way. Like me and the couch was best friends. Like, but I've been just trying to recover, man. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather. I've been dealing with, man. That's when we go back to wearing gloves, man. We gotta wear gloves, man. A lot of kids is getting over the spring to summer, so they still getting a little sick. So got me sick. They got me. So I'm just trying to feel better. You already know. That's why you mean.
Oh, fuck.
Y'all,
That's crazy. How's your weekend? You last?
My weekend, man. I think I feel kind of like Sam feel. I feel like it was a blur. Friday,
An amazing blur?
huh?
Because hers was amazing.
Was my weekend amazing?
Amazing blur?
Yeah, I had a pretty dope weekend. I went to
Let's go.
Emerald City, had their golf outing, so I pulled up there. Only actually swung the putt. I mean the club
wow.
2 times.
Man, listen.
2 times.
I was about to say you was getting your Tiger Woods on until you said pup. And then
No,
Yeah.
that show you how much I
Oh.
golf.
that was the Hoodie Woods.
Yeah, that was.
Good
So
work.
it was some people out there that was just like, hey, we ain't really golfing. We ain't here to golf. They gave you a little 6-pack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You had a little case on the
Yeah,
side.
have a
I only
conversation.
took 2 swings, man. We was just out there, having a good time, networking, talking to people. They had some good food. That was cool. Had to shoot back to the shop, because it was prom season. So, knocked a lot of kids out for that. Got some people right. And then, man, Friday night was a blur. I think I stayed in the house. And then,
He said, I think I stayed in the house.
yeah,
You know it's a blur if you ain't know if you stayed in the house or not.
and, Saturday, I went to, what is it called? Thunderbirds. They had DJ selecting them down there. So I went down there, had some fun. And then Sunday was cool, man. It was pretty dope. I'm training my son, getting him ready for his first year of contact football.
Okay.
So we were doing that whole thing. So that was dope. And that was it, man. That was the weekend. It was time to get up after that. Kids are so ungrateful.
Oh, man.
They are so ungrateful. Because let me tell you about him. I love my son to death, and I'm glad that we got to spend some time. But we wake up 9 o'clock in the morning. He wakes me up. Now, I told you I went out Saturday. So I don't want to get. He wakes me up at 9. We're watching a movie at 9. So that's 2 hours minimum right there.
Mm-hmm.
Then he want to eat. So we eat. How old is he? 10.
Okay.
Then he wants to train. So I'm like, all right, let's go to Dick's. Get this little parachute thing for you. We're going to do that. We train for a couple hours. But before we even get out of Dick's, he asking for everything in the store. Can I have this? Can I have that? I went to Starbucks so I could try to wake up. You know what I'm saying? Give me a little energy. He wants some kind of berry, you know what I'm saying? Refreshers. I'm like, yo.
Like
I said, do you
$6-7.
understand how much you asking for right now? Then he kept going and going and going. It's like 9 o'clock at night. I didn't want my daughters to feel left out. So I started working with them on some boxing stuff. After we get done with the boxing, he was like, Dad, can we watch a movie? And I just had to recap the whole day. I said, no, we got up at 9. I went through the whole day of everything that happened. And I was like, do you feel like, you know what I'm saying, that's enough? Like,
No, that's why you want to watch the movie.
we're good? You know what I'm saying? Like, I deserve some kind of like, can I sit down? So, hey, man.
He said, sit with me and watch this movie.
That's what he said.
Man, and even that's cool, but he want me to do work while we watching the movie. Can you cook something? Can I have I'm like, dude, come on, man. We done been at this for about 12 hours. Like, I'm trying to relax. But yeah, that was my weekend, man. Had fun chilling with him, doing football stuff, try to get some relaxation in there a little bit, all that different type of stuff. So we're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna talk about today's topic. We got a few good ones for y'all, and I don't want to put you on the spot. You want me to introduce it?
No, you got
talk about it. All right. So Sam was telling us about an event that she went to this weekend. It was actually for I don't know if you know him. Ted might know him, but my man Brian. What's Brian's last name? That's horrible. I know it. Smith. Yeah, Smith. So he had a book release. Yeah, he had a book release and a book signing this weekend. I didn't know about it until it was after. But what's the book called?
I Miss My Dad.
I Miss My Dad. And Sam was basically breaking it down as far as he had a father in the home, but he was talking about topics related to, I guess, young men that he's encountered that may have not had fathers at home and different dynamics, there. So that's something that we've been kind of aiming towards talking about anyways, as far as fatherhood. So that just sparked the conversation between us. We're going to touch on that today. So I guess since you brought it to the table,
Yes, sir.
What's your viewpoint on that? Or what did you feel like he was getting at, or
So disclaimer, I did not read the book yet. I did not read the book. So I did not read this book.
Yeah.
But just from his Q&A, he was just kind of explaining like through his journey of mentoring and being a football coach, he's encountered so many young Black males who don't know how to accept or deal with like an A-type Black man. So he was saying, the kids will cry if they're talked sternly to or if they're yelled at. And then he would ask, like, why are you crying? And they don't have an answer. And some of them not having an answer, which is strictly out of fear. They didn't know how to say, because you're scaring me, or I'm not accustomed to this level of boisterism or this type or tone, because that's not the tone they get at home. He did make a point to say, like, I'm not in any way saying that, Black moms can't raise Black sons or anything like that. It was simply like the element that's missing. If you don't have an active father, they don't get that rearing to the same level, to the same tone that you get from your mom. And of course, there's always exceptions. But I know, like, listening to him, it made me say to myself, because I have a son, like, oh, is that my kid? Is my kid the crier? When, a man says, do this or do that, am I the parent that's creating the same space for my own son, or am I the exception? Can my son handle it? And just like the idea, it was just made me think about a lot of other kids and even kids that I come in contact with, the same idea. Like, are we as mothers, I've always said as a mother, I can't raise my son to be a man because I'm not a man. What I can raise him to be is a person and a good person. But that's it. I don't walk into the world daily as a Black man, so I can't give him that element. I can give him the element of walking into the world as a Black person, into life as an employee, all of these things, but not as a man. So when he said that, it made me kind of stop and say, like, wait a minute, am I that mom? Is my son that kid that if someone tells him in a respectful manner, because there's a big difference between a male figure using his words for power and purpose or for tearing down. So there's a very huge difference. But if this is a man who's trying to speak positivity into you and trying to correct you, is my son the son is going to cry because he's not used to that tone or that level of masculinity? Is it going to make him like, oh, wait, I don't know what to do with this? Or is he the kid that can accept it because he's getting that same sternness or a level of that sternness from home? Right. So when he said it, it just like opened my eyes and made me kind of think about me as a parent, but just so many kids and what they don't have. And being a parent has been involved in sports and seeing the different kids, how they respond to different men. And I've seen the same thing he's doing. You do have boys who literally just don't know what to do with that.
Right.
For a lot of different reasons. They just don't know what to do. So they kind of just, it breaks them down immediately because they don't know how to respond. They don't know how to react.
Mhm.
They don't know if this is love or if this is toward, like they don't know what to do because maybe their moms aren't giving them that level of parenting. But there's a type of presence that comes from like a man and his authority
Right.
that you're never going to get from a woman.
Right.
And I think that in that he was trying to speak to that. Like there's a level of authority that comes from the tone of a man, the presence of a man that's missing.
Mhm.
And then those kids grow up to be men
Mhm.
to some level. But then there's also men who's missing that thing.
Mhm. That's deep.
Mm.
I got some opinions and thoughts around that. You know, I'll just throw a few of them out there. I can't go deep with all of them, but I think, you know, the first thing that I'll say is I think that it's interesting how moms are raising sons that may have some like feminine type of qualities. You know what I'm saying? Once they become, and then on the other end, our daughters are being raised possibly by males or females, whatever the case may be, who's ever in the house, and they might have some more like masculine qualities. You know what I'm saying? So you got these two people in a relationship now with some qualities kind of outside of their gender,
Right.
but want you to stick inside of a certain type of role. Like you do the trash, you do the dishes. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the other thing is, and it's going back to something that Sam said earlier. I agree, you know, 100% that a woman cannot raise a man to be a man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They can raise them. There are certain things that you're, as a man, you're looking for, that you're gauging. You're looking at his reactions. You're looking at how he responded to the world, how he deals with adversity. Can he take this level of, this is how people really gonna talk to you out there?
Right.
It's not always gonna be nice like your mom do it or your grandmother. This is how the real world is, you know, type of thing. We're always gauging that. I think we're very, you know, animalistic on a, you know, simplistic level. We're animals, you know what I'm saying? We just happen to be highly intelligent,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But you can look back and observe, and the mom and the dad, they aren't looking with the same eye, the same scope.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
But also to her point, you know, I don't think you can raise them to be a man, but you can definitely give him qualities that contribute to being a man. You know what I'm saying? Like two things that I've seen from my mom and my sister were, you know, my mom working relentlessly, you know, to provide, and my grandmother sitting down at a table, taking her money, paying her bills, having for a second, and she always had what she wanted and had enough to, you know, share, do stuff for us. And that's a good quality to have, no matter who's raising you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, I think it can go either way. I do think though, on some levels, and here's where, you know, people gotta have tough skin.
Oh,
You know, my 3 viewers gotta have tough skin.
Not the three.
Is I think that when you're there and you're in a relationship and you're trying to gauge and you're trying to direct him in a certain way, or you're honing in on something that's there, and the mom is, I guess, interfering, for lack of better words, that can be kind of detrimental to him. But absent of I can't see, first of all, how a man could just leave his kid. But think about what time. I know my son would be great, but he's a different person if I ain't there. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm looking for, or at from a male perspective, and trying to raise him to be a man that can survive in this world. Right. If I'm not there to be like, for instance, he got his armband taken at track last year. His mom was like, let's go buy him another one. I was like, nah, go get that back.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be whatever you are to them the whole time, they're going to keep taking stuff from you. They'll see you all throughout the city, throughout life.
Yeah.
And you still you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
And they're going to take whatever you have. So if you want friends and you want some respect, you're going to have to get your stuff back.
Gotta go get
We
it.
ain't going to buy a new one, you know, because they're going to take that one too.
You're gonna have a whole wall.
And I said, worst case scenario, I got about 10 seconds to fight if something happens. Don't want to see my son fight? Nah. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I ain't gonna even hold you. I still look at all my kids like they're my babies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My son is my baby. Do I want to see him go through that? No. But I know what this world has for him. You know what I'm saying? I know
Right.
what's waiting, but I can step in that and be like, yo, he might have to shoot some blows. I can feel the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. What you think, Money?
Subject is kind of like really is a tough game subject for me. I think straight out the my sister, and then you go straight narrow cuts in the church, stuff like that. So we got the discipline, yes, ma'am, and no service and stuff like that. So, but I was married from 21 to 30, and I had 4 kids at that time. So I did have a situation to where the mother had little issues with the baby dad or whatever, and she would tell the baby father that I don't want the kids around him. So at the time he was locked up. He ended up getting out of jail. I did my church. They were doing an altar call this one time, and he walked in church.
Slammed you.
No, he didn't get past my cousins and them, because as soon as the kids seen him, they got up and ran to them and was like, "Yo, he's not supposed to be here." I didn't even know him. I never seen him before ever in my life. They took me upstairs to the balcony. I'm like, "What you hiding me for? What's going on?" And that's when I found out. I called her. I'm like, "Yo, your ex is here at the church saying that I'm the reason why you can't see the kids." And I've never been like that. I'm like, dude. And they always said they wanted to see their dad, because when they seen their face lit up, they wanted to go give him a hug and all that stuff or whatever. And but my ex-wife's mom was there, so she was like, no, keep them away from him and this and that. I don't know the story. The story was never presented to me. I know nothing like that. I just know that I heard about him. I called my uncle and them, and my uncle and them ain't in the church. That's all I can say. So like 5 seconds later, they ran around the corner in the church. It was straps outside in the parking lot. It was really about to be a bad situation.
He slammed them too?
No. He found out my uncle was outside, and he didn't go outside. So he stayed inside. I was upstairs in the balcony. My cousins and them was talking to him, like trying to calm him down, because right when the pastor was like, "Yo, we got to stand up for altar call," he reached into his joint and was about to. So they tackled him during the church service. Yeah, it was crazy. All this stuff was crazy. So when I look at that situation, that's one thing that I never want to be a part of again, is not knowing the whole truth of what's going on with the father and the mother and the child, and be put in a position to be like, "Oh yeah, well, he's the reason why I'm not allowed to see my kids," when that's not the case. And when the mom is not there, no, I forget him, but I don't hear the story. I don't know what's going on. It's not my business, but at the same time, it kind of is if I'm helping raising these kids right now. I don't know what's going on. They could really go to school, did not come home because they went with their dad. Is it legally allowed to go and pick your kid up? Is that your child? Is he allowed to go pick up the kid from the school? There's no bond. I mean, no ban. Like, he can't go pick his own kid up. You know what I mean? So what if the kid didn't come home? And if the kid did come home, he's coming in the car with the dad in the driveway. They're like, "Yo, what's going on?" You know what I mean? I know nothing about it. But what I do is step out the way, find out where my wife is at, back her 1,000% like I'm supposed to. But at the same time, I still got to talk to her, because I'm not cool with that. I'm like, my dad wasn't in my life, so I don't like how you not letting him play the position, what's going on. And I don't get the full story, so I just, you know what I'm saying, stay out the way. So when it comes to those type of subjects, it's just like, I just thank God my mom, you know what I'm saying, raised me right to be a good man, and thinking I could be a good father. I felt like I was a good father at that time. You know what happened when we had a couple episodes ago when I was on trash. So that was wrong. I was on tour. I wasn't on tour. Man, whatever. I was wrong. I was clearly wrong.
He was married.
I was clearly wrong. We're not
Twitter,
doing that. I was clearly wrong. For real. I never do that junk again. That junk was crazy too.
So do you feel like, and you know, we can still stay on it, but do you feel like through not having your father in your life that affected you as a man in like a good way or a bad way?
I think I need therapy, bro. I just made a song last night about it, like literally. And I was talking to my boy, and when I let my boy hear about it, he was like, "Yo, don't the person that you do the podcast with, ain't he a therapist?" I was like, "Yeah, I gotta talk to him." Like real rap, because I was talking to my grandma, and my grandma was telling me, she just randomly called and was like, "How are you in relationships?" And I was just being honest with her on how I was in relationships. And she was like, there were some things that I do in relationships that ain't cool. And not no physical, like putting hands on nothing, but like really, literally, it's not cool. And she was like, your grandpa do that, your dad do that, stuff like that. These people are people that I wasn't even around. So I didn't know that this was in me. Because the women will always tell me, why you act like that? Why you always getting up and leaving? Why you da-da-da-da-da? And I'm sitting there like, I don't know. My mom ain't never did no stuff like that. And I asked my mom. My mom was like, yeah, your dad left us like that. Like, my grandma was like, we got in a little mini argument about some food or something. Your dad just packed the stuff and left. Or whatever. And I see myself in relationships when I get in an argument with an individual, I'm just packing my stuff and leaving. Then come back and apologize. And you're like, bro, that ain't cool. You can't play with nobody's mind like that. They don't trust that you're gonna stay around or stick around. I'm like, I need therapy on that. I need to figure out I need to find the talk. I really want to sit down and talk to my grandma, and I really want to sit down and talk to my dad about why they did it. But I also want to be in the right mind first before I do present that conversation with them.
And I think the reason I asked that is because you know, a lot of men say that, you know what I mean? A lot of men say that, you know, if it affected them, you know, some type of way. I think me, you know, with my own personal situation, the thing that I respected about my mom is she never said nothing bad about me. You know what I'm saying? Stay away from him, don't do this, don't do that. You know, when he was at my age, that's what he wanted to do. Yeah, you know what I mean? But I do think it created like, as a young kid, it created like a dependency on other like grown men. You know what I'm saying? You kind of their word. Yeah. Whether it was good or bad. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, oh, Kurt, don't do this. You like, yeah. You know, stay in wrestling. You be like, yeah, I'm gonna stay in wrestling. Yeah. And then they say something else negative. Yeah. You be like, oh yeah, I'm on that too. You know what I'm saying? And then like as you grow and mature, you know, people start to let you down. You know what I'm saying? They don't show up in the same way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I have somebody who's very close to me that was, you know, I was like his son for the longest. Then he had kids, and I felt like I was kind of kicked to the side. You know what I'm saying? He had his own sons. Right. And, you know, so I think that created like at some point, like distrust in men, like you're going to be let down. This person is going to leave eventually. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that would be interesting to see how that kind of plays out, you know, in my own, you know, personal situation.
My mom did a heck of a job raising me. I think and I don't even look at it as a downside, but it's one of those, when you're in a relationship, you're too nice. And you know that nice guy spent his last thing. I get that from my mom. I'm just so nice, trying to help, trying to do all of this stuff, and they take advantage of it. And I don't know how to shut it off, because when I shut it off and become a whole other person that I'm not, it's not cool. So I'm like, I just feel like, all right, well, I'd rather just not talk to that person, because it's gonna turn me into somebody that I'm not even not. You know what I mean? Like, that's not who I am. Like, my mom raised me with the yes ma'am, no sir. Every time I'm around somebody, it's yes ma'am, no sir. They're like, man, you so polite. Like, what is that? Like, that's my mom. You know what I mean? But when it comes time to actually put your foot down, that don't come out. It's still like the yes ma'am, no sir. Like, oh yeah, well, all right, we'll work on it. Not no, hey, chill, bro. Like, it ain't that, because it's not there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might look like it's there, but it ain't there.
Right? So I got a question, like a little plot twist, because I heard you ask him, like, as a man, as an absent father, do you feel like that affected your life? Yeah. But why is that question never asked to females who don't have a dad? Why is that not a part of? Because dads are important across the board. So why is that conversation only you ever heard from on the man's side, and how that's affected a man growing up? But then we will say all day that these women are roaming around with no standards, with no direction, with no whatever. And then you look back and it's like, well, they didn't have any type of example of what they were supposed to be looking at or looking for.
Yeah.
What you think about that, Jeff? That's crazy. I never even thought that.
Ooh. All right, so can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Not asking a woman. It's crazy. I never even thought that.
Yeah, like serious. All right, I want to piggyback what she said. Definitely. I mean, I got a sister. We both lost our dad same time in our life, and I can see how differently she was raised than I was raised. If that makes any sense, you know what I mean. So that is different. Like I never really, nobody really asked a woman before, like, how do you feel without your dad in your life? It was always directed towards the man, like, especially me. Like, my dad was in my life, and unfortunately he passed. So I got a little bit of glimpse of him, but the man part, I didn't get. You get what I'm saying? I was a kid, so I didn't get the talk. I didn't get that. So, like, I'll piggyback off what Curtis said, too. Like, you start gravitating towards other men. You don't look at them like that. You look at it like as an idol or somebody you look up to or as a mentor. And it just depends who you gravitate towards. Because I know me, like I gravitated towards my coaches or my older brothers or something like that. But it's easier for younger men to not have older brothers or mentors or coaches. They'll gravitate towards the streets or anything like that. So honestly, to be real, yeah, I think it is detrimental if a father's not in the crib for a child growing up, either a boy or girl. It's detrimental to that child because they grow up with that trauma of not having a father, of not having that man, and I can say the discipline because the woman does give nurture and they do give love. And my mom, she raised 4 boys, so she gives tough love. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna spank you, you're gonna get a spanking, you're on timeout. It was throw your hands up, we about to rumble, cause y'all about to be bigger than me, y'all ain't about to be Bruce and none of that. So we always had respect for my mom. So it's a little different.
So I think too, going back to what Sam said, I think we have been kind of like trained to be, very biased and look at stuff from like a deficit standpoint. And I say that because I think her question is true or her thought is true. And then at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, because we do talk about it, you know what I'm saying? But I think when they ask like about parents, they look at females and be like, was your mom there? And they look at guys and be like, was your dad there?
Yep.
And society has convinced us so much that fathers ain't there. Yep. That's like the question for everybody. Yep. But it affects the girls too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think we talk about it from like a deficit standpoint because we'll talk about females and their behaviors and how those behaviors come out based on whether she had her father or not. Like she's like this, or she's like that, or she got daddy issues. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we were like super young, that was a vulnerability, that we would look for. You know what I'm saying? Is her dad in her? You know what I'm saying? Her dad ain't in her life. Oh, it's only her mom at the crib. That's one problem down. All we gotta do is wait for her to go to work. You know what I'm saying? Or we know that she ain't in this type of thing. Like, with my daughters right now, I always tell them that I want them to be the girl that I couldn't get in college. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Everybody had a girl that was cool. She was fly, pretty. All the guys wanted her. But she wasn't like a dude, but she had been schooled by her dad so much, you couldn't crack the code at all. Nobody had no information about her. Oh, this is how you do it. This is what she likes, how you get close to her. It wasn't no code, and she was just cool. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm trying to train my daughters on. And I always tell them, somebody like you, they're gonna be around just because of that. This is how you carry yourself. And sometimes you think they ain't listening, but my 19-year-old just came back to me the other day and was like, Dad, I got a friend, her standards are super low. Thank you for giving me some standards. I was like, I didn't think you heard me. Wow. She was like, no, I heard you. She was like, she was telling me to do certain stuff. And I was telling her, like, no, your standards are too low. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what if your daughter doesn't have that? You know what I'm saying? Which I think touches on this point
But
on some level. You
I
know,
feel
what
like
person is she going to develop into?
You said what, bro?
I said I feel like on that too, yeah. But I was a type, and the piggyback is crazy. I was the type of dude that was to go after a woman who do have a dad in the house and who do have a mom in the house. I felt like a woman would gravitate towards somebody who is like her father. And I don't know, maybe I was the type of dude that I wanted you to have your dad in the crib because I felt like them was the type of woman I wanted. So it was a little different for me. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it was a little different for me because I felt like a woman, when we was growing up, I feel like a woman wanted somebody like her father if he was there. But if he was absent, she gonna go after the first person that is that masculinity. If I'm not speaking, that's how I looked at it. So I always wanted a woman who had a dad in the crib, an uncle that was playing dad, or even a stepdad who stepped up to the plate to be a dad. I never really looked for a woman like if she told me like, and it wasn't like just like that, but if she ever told me like, oh yeah, like I was like, who you live with, your mom or your dad? She was like, and it's crazy you gotta ask that way, but normally some girls would be like, oh, my mom and my dad, or I live with my parents. And I used to be like, all right, cool. Like that means you couldn't get over in any type of way. And I felt like the dad and mom liked you, you was good. And you know what I mean? You was good with the fam. So I don't know, maybe we a little different. If you make
Yeah,
sense.
you know what was crazy, man? And I don't know what type of areas everybody grew up in, but you growing up in a tough area, especially like projects and different stuff like that, those are like geared towards single women. So you have like a whole community of people, you know what I'm saying? That's like fathers, ain't no fathers around.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? You do see different glimpses, examples, good and bad. You know, the neighborhood father, the neighborhood drug dealer, the uncle, the cousins, you know. So you get a variety of everything. And but like I said, you have a whole neighborhood of people who don't have fathers. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's what I was used to. You know what I'm saying? A person with a father was in the way, but you also knew how to flip it. If she had a dad, we top level manipulation. Like I'm like the sweetest, nicest, like cool, anything from straight savage. This is teenage years. I don't know what camera look like.
Teenagers with like, oddly enough, I tell people like the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
So my dad was murdered when I was 1.
Oh.
But my mom and my stepdad got together when I was 2.
Oh.
So most of my adolescent life, there was a man.
Right.
There was a man.
Amen.
Right. Like that man. But my mom was also the type of parent, like we were just talking about. It was like, don't discipline my kids. That's my job. Because we're girls. So she didn't feel like, as a man, type of man that was like, I don't really want to discipline the girls.
Right.
I'm gonna leave that to mom. But he was like a stern provider. Right. Yeah. So growing up, I got to see a man who provided and who made sure we were good and made sure we had whatever we needed. Right. He went out to work. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for a lot of my, younger years. Fast forward to them breaking up when I was maybe about 13, 14. So it was like a different, like, okay, so now my mom's a single mom. This looks different than what I was used to. So then I got to experience my mom just as my mom, right? Which somewhat didn't look different because my mom was always the face of the company, right? Like everything went through mom. If I needed new clothes, new shoes, or whatever, I went to my mom. Yes, as I got older, I realized he was the one that was fronting the money, right? But everything went through mom first. So my mom was always my go-to person. And then even once they broke up, he was still, I guess, present, but not the way he was. For all purposes, like in my world, it was like, well, we're in this part of my life, all of my life, for all that I know it. He's gone. But if I needed something, I would go to my mom, and guess where my mom went? to him.
To him to get it.
And even though they were broken up,
Still
it was, he was still
Still got it.
anything that I wanted, anything that I needed. And even now, as an adult,
He's still doing it.
anything that I wanted, I mean, we have more of a relationship now, but there was a lot of years that he wasn't there. But I'll never forget, it was like one time I was on the bus, I don't even know why he was on the bus, because he drove, but whatever, it's just like God's intervention.
Right.
But I'm horsing around with this boy, and we were like 14, 15, right? So we're horsing around on the bus, we're playing, I'm pushing him, he's pushing me, he grabbed my hair. But we were playing, so I didn't think anything of it, and he didn't. Like, I knew we were playing, it wasn't anything more than that.
Yeah.
But my stepdad was not here for it, and I didn't even know he was on the bus, right? But so I guess he just like watched the whole exchange.
He was peeping.
So when we go to get off the bus, and this was on the Periscope, so we're going downtown. I go to get off the bus, and he just like appeared. He was like, "You don't let no man put their hands on you." And I see him with the boy on the bus, like against the side of the bus, like, "You don't put your hands on my daughter." I'm like, "Oh, time out. We was playing. You don't play like that with no man." And I was like, "Oh, relax." Like, in my mind, I'm like, "When did you become this person?" The reality is, he's always been that person, but he never needed to stand up and stand out because my mom kind of made sure that he didn't need to. But when he needed to, he always has.
Yeah.
Right. So I've always gotten like the best of both worlds. But in that, like from a dating standpoint, because when my mom went through whatever they went through, right? I was a kid, I stay out the kids' table. They stay out the adult table. That's the respect. But I have always said, like, he may not have taught us a lot of lessons about what a man should be or could be, but for sure he taught me some of the things that I couldn't stand for, don't want, just from what I've seen. But he also taught me, like, this is what I need. You know, like there were deficits where it was like, he's a great provider, and I love that for me because I was a spoiled kid. So of course I love that. I got everything I wanted. But as an adult, I don't love that for me because what I realized growing up was, although he was a provider, he was never home because he was always at work. So he was never home. So I don't remember him being at Christmas. I'm sure he was there briefly, but I don't remember him being there because at work. I don't remember the things where it's like, I want my kids and they're dead. I want him at the games. I want him at the practices. I want him at all the things in life that we're supposed to experience as parents. I didn't see him there. Did I have all the new Jordans? Sure. Did I have all the, things that I wanted? Sure. But looking backwards, would I have traded that in for to come to a PTO meeting or something, or sit down and watch a movie or something? I would have traded it 100 times over. So we learned like something different, but I also learned that as an adult, like moving forward into dating as an adult, that was one of my things. Like, I don't want a man who wants work over family. Right. And you know what I ended up with? The first girlfriend, I have 2 kids with one man and then 1 kid with another man. My daughters and their dad, guess what he did? He valued work. And as a teenager, because we got together when I was a teenager, it was amazing. You know why? Because he duplicated what I knew. He gave me anything I wanted. Made sure I had everything I wanted. My first car, my first, whatever. If I said I wanted it, he was going to find a way for me to have it. I loved it. It was great, right? It was just a continuation of my life. But then it was just like, wait a minute, what you mean you got to work on the 4th of July? We supposed to go out with the kids and go see the fireworks. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm going to work. So things like that, it was like, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. So you can't go to work, which then ended up eventually being the end of us because the man that he needed to be, which is fine, was not the man that I wanted. That's not the life that I wanted to repeat again. So I had to decide what works for me, and that wasn't it. But that's the lesson that I learned from watching my 2 parents function through this life, but also watching my mom dig down when she had to as a single parent. Also taught me that I can also do this thing absent of this relationship. And just because you're absent of the relationship doesn't mean that the debt doesn't exist anymore. It just means that you don't exist with me. But I don't have to be your woman for you to still be your kids. We can still hang out, and as we did, we still did stuff as a family. Why? Because our relationship is over. But my kids deserve to see their mom, their dad together, functioning as 2 people who act like they like each other. They don't have to be separate from everything, and this time with mom and this time with it. that's not what we created, and that's not the life that they live because we spent a lot of years together. So since we ain't together, that's cool, but we gonna do this thing. Sometimes there's gonna be times where it's me and you. Sometimes it's just you and the kids. Sometimes it's just me and the kids, but we created them together, so we still gotta do stuff together because I want them to grow up and have that same best of both worlds if they have to.
How's that circle work if another man is in the picture?
It still works.
How's it if another woman is in the picture?
It always works because coming into the picture, as a man coming into my world, when I had 2 daughters, he had to understand the role that their father played. So you're either on board with that or you're not. But I'm not going to change the relationship for my daughters and their dad because of some dude that could very well be temporary, but you know it's forever. Their relationship with their father, their relationship with their mother. So I was never willing to compromise that behind some dude that in 3 months I might forget his name.
Yeah, so he just gotta trust you, just like you gotta trust
And
him.
he's welcome to come along. Like it's not always, it's not a situation where it's like, oh no, you can't come.
Right.
If you're going to be in this situation and you're a part of this family,
You gotta accept
we a
everybody.
family. Let's go. If you don't want to, you don't feel comfortable,
I
then
like that.
that's okay. You don't have to, but
I like that.
you're always welcome. And the same thing, like their dad is married.
Right.
We've gone through our, you know, we had to grow up.
Of course.
Yeah,
We've gone through some things,
Because I was
but
about to say, yeah.
you know, we got to a point where his wife had invited us all on like vacation together. And I was like, listen, I don't like you or him like that, but I appreciate the respect. Right. I appreciate you. No, we didn't go.
Oh, okay. I got you.
We wasn't near yet.
That's
It was a work in progress, but
That's
it
what
was
I'm
just like
saying.
the fact that she even was like, listen, I know we're not 100%, but
Yeah,
we were going on this vacation. Do you all want to come?
yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
appreciate you, but no,
Mm.
because I may throw you off the ship, and that's not going to work for all of
That's
us.
crazy.
So we had to get to a functioning point.
What age was that?
I was like in my 20s.
In your 20s?
That was a little spicier,
Okay.
you know. So it's like we gotta have time to grow.
Yeah, that's what I wanted-
We don't-
I wanted
it
to
ain't
know.
perfect.
You know what it reminded me of?
Yeah.
We was just talking about it. It seemed like it was in here
Fine, man.
a few weeks ago where there were like 2 parents and it was the little boy's dad and he wasn't with the wife. And I got a question for y'all too. He wasn't with the female anymore,
Uh-huh.
but they had to come together and they was like trying to parent him and raise him a certain way. And I feel like we was going back and forth, like they was feeling like there still got to be something there because they're trying to deal and parent him, and it just seemed
Yeah,
like they're way too
that was early.
cool.
I think that was episode 1 or 2.
Yeah, but
Something like that.
but hearing
Yeah,
Sam's
I know.
perspective,
Yeah,
I think that's a way cooler,
it is.
like more refreshing. It's like
but that's
the
a
mature thing to
that's
do.
what I was
Like,
about to say. Mature.
we brought this
Yeah.
kid into the world.
Yep.
This is what they, deserve to have
Yeah.
versus I'm not
Yeah.
with him no more. We
Yeah.
just gonna smash out. We going down to dependency court.
Yeah.
We getting this petition, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, doing all this other stuff. But
Like the
I wanna ask y'all real quick, and it's like something to think about. So with you in your situation, with your stepdad, with you in your situation, and your mom raising you at home,
right.
do you feel like that gave you any like feminine qualities? Do you feel like that gave you any like masculine qualities that you like carry to this day?
Yeah,
I have a lot of masculine qualities.
It's front of I like my mom a
But
lot.
it was just like so. But I don't think it had anything to do with. I don't think it have anything to do with not having a dad, but maybe it does. But so I'm one
So
of
what's
3
the
girls.
what's the quality?
Listen, there's a lot. There's a lot, but like I'm one of 3 girls, right?
Yeah.
So with my mom, that makes 4 girls in one house.
Yeah.
Somebody gotta take out the trash.
Yeah,
Like it ain't
wow.
gonna magically take itself out.
Yeah.
Somebody gotta cut the grass. It
Yeah.
ain't gonna magically do it, right?
Yeah.
So like these things that are quote unquote designated for like a man to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there's no man around, it doesn't disappear, right?
Yeah, still
So
got that.
I do a lot of things that are considered like more manly
Mhm.
because I live in a household full of women. So it was
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'll take off the trash. Yeah, I'll get outside and go mow the lawn, even down to like my brakes. Like I'll get under my car, I'll change my brakes, I'll change my oil.
Okay.
And dudes look at me like, yo, you're such a dude. It's like, or I know how to change my tire and the brakes and I
Yeah,
gotta
like
save me
that's
some
it.
money. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
that's
it's
a
just
fact,
like,
yeah.
the things that you have to do to survive and to live a life, right? You have to live this life the way that you live it. And although they're looked at as like manly qualities, but are they always manly qualities or just like things that you need to get through life with?
Right.
It's skills that you need to get through life with. Like if someone says like you're vocal or you're abrasive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's manly. Is it, or is it just me not allowing the world to step on me?
Because you are not allowing the world.
Right, but like people will look at it like you're so masculine.
Yeah, true.
It's like, is it though? So it's like every quality that a man feels like a woman shouldn't have is she's masculine. But it's like, what did her life have take her? That these are skills that she had to learn to survive.
Or when did that, or when did? Because I agree with you 1,000%, but I'm just adding extra to it. Like, do they say that when you're in a relationship? But they're not saying that outside of the relationship, right?
I mean, I don't think anyone has like directly told me.
It's
just something that I know, right?
Exactly.
Like I don't have like right now, even in my current relationship, right? He is very much like, I am a man, these are my jobs, right?
Yeah.
And I am like, we are a team, these are our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't quite feel that way. So we have some like push and pull over who should do what, because I'm like, if I see the trash is full, I'm gonna take the trash out, right? I'm not gonna sit here and wait and look at the trash for you to take it out, right? But then he feels like, why are you touching the trash?
Why
not?
not?
Because it was full, right?
Yeah.
But then there's things like, I'm like, the sink is full of dishes, friend. Why you didn't hit these dishes? And he's like, what do you mean? That's not what I'm like, did you eat off these plates? Then you need to wash these dishes, right? But he feels like that's more of a female role.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's the role of whoever used these dishes today. You know what I mean? So it's a very interesting, dynamic. And then I guess that kind of takes me to like another plot twist, right? Like, which is kind of off topic a little bit, but it takes me down that road of like that dynamic of that whole like 50-50 split thing, right? Like men are like, oh, let's, we pay half. Which is fine. Oh, I don't run with it. Listen, I'm A-okay with, so me personally, I can't speak for no other woman. Okay. I don't want no man paying for my life. That's just not me. I'm not built that way. I wasn't raised, I guess technically I was raised that way, but I'm not built that way. That's not for me, right? I need to be able to stand on my own 2 feet at any given time. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I'm 100% okay with paying 50-50. It's not an issue to me. Mm-hmm. However, if we doing 50-50, friend, we doing 50-50. That's everything. Because you can't think that I'm about to go to work like you going to work, but then I'm gonna come home and do 100% of everything. Well, this ain't 50-50. You can't pay half the bills, but then I gotta do all the grocery shopping, all the laundry, all the cooking, all the kid rearing, that's not 50-50. That's like 20-80. That's not gonna work. So if we want to do this half and half then we're doing half. You need to be in this kitchen cooking like I'm in this kitchen cooking. You need to be mopping and dusting like I'm mopping and dusting. Yeah. It's not a one-sided job. We both live here. We both making a mess. We're both contributing to the light bill. Yeah. We're both contributing to these dishes in the sink. Yeah. I'll do the shopping. Like even with him and I, we have a thing where it's like, if you wash the clothes, the other person folds, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't never work, but that's the plan. That's right. So I just abandoned the clothes, right? I'm just like, I'm gonna abandon the clothes. Maybe he'll wash and fold them. Because I was like, if I keep washing them and folding them, I hate this here, right? I hate this life. I don't want to wash and fold clothes. I don't want to carry it. So then he's like, well, I carried them to the basement. I don't care that you carry them to the basement, right? You're going to carry them back up to this room and fold them. Otherwise, I'm just going to abandon mission. And now, so for the past month, he's been doing the laundry. The only complaint that I have about his laundry doing is he folds my clothes and just puts them in the closet. There ain't no type of rhyme or reason of how they're in there. They're just in there. But guess what? Didn't have to happen. Me washing them clothes, so I'm going to be okay and just keep sifting through to find what I need. I ain't going to complain because my complaint will end up with me washing the clothes. So you got to keep washing, folding, and putting them wherever. I'll find them.
That's some good self-reflection.
That is deep.
Because I was just telling my son earlier today, he asked me a question that has something to do with like communication and women and here's my bias. You know what I'm saying? Here's my bias. I told him that women will give you at times almost an incomplete thought or how she's feeling about something,
Mhm.
and you're supposed to reach in there
And
and
figure
put
it
the
out.
pieces together
That's not fair.
and come up with what she's talking about
I don't like that.
and produce.
I don't
That's how
like
you
that.
feel?
I
All bad. Listen, but you might be
I don't
telling
like
the
that.
truth. I don't know, right?
I don't
So
like that.
there's two parts of this. That might be true. I don't know. I realize that I'm a little bit different from most. There's that, right? And maybe it's the Aquarius in me because I'm facts and numbers all day,
Yeah,
right? I don't do well with emotion.
yeah.
Okay, I'm almost like
at
I don't
all,
understand
or
at all because I don't. It's not to me. It's illogical, right? Like I am like, okay, but you're crying right now. Is that gonna make it better? No. Then why are we crying? Like let's move to the solution of whatever we're doing, right? So, which is funny because my boyfriend he wants to talk about his feelings. So then we hit like a wall sometimes because he feels like I don't care how he feels. And to some level, he's right. I don't care because all I care about is the facts. Like, did you step on my shoe? You did? Okay. I don't care about how you feel about your toes hitting my toes when you did it. I don't care. What I do care about is the fact that you did it. So that's usually where it goes, where it's like, so the fact is, did you or did you not? I don't care about how you feel about it. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is like, did this happen? It did happen. How do we move forward? The emotion part can be left out. It doesn't, because how you feel today, you might not feel tomorrow. And 10 minutes, like that's going to change.
Yeah.
But the facts are going to be the facts all day. So I can't do the whole like, woe is me, my life is in shambles. Let's cry about it because I'm really confused why we're crying about it. Now I'm having a headache and my life is in shambles. That doesn't make sense to me.
You know it's crazy because I could be like completely wrong, right? But you know, I asked you guys a question earlier. Did you pick up any masculine or feminine traits? You know what I'm saying? And to a lot, this tough skin. So I gotta be honest. To maybe a majority of people, and I'm gonna try to bring it back. Maybe to a good amount of people, what you just said, based on the rest of us and how we dealing with people, based on what you just said, that could be a little, you know what I'm saying?
It is
masculine. And I say that because most of us, especially like when it's just the guys and we're sitting there talking, one thing we just keep stamping. I don't know how we keep getting into relationships.
I'm telling you, we try to
That's how I know
avoid
we're
it
talking about
all.
kids, right?
To stay
We try to avoid
out
it
of
at all costs.
relationships. But this is relevant because it goes
It is.
back to
And we got piggyback.
we're kind of building on something I was sharing with you guys about what I teach my son. You know what I mean? So what we often get into is that conversation about women think more emotionally or go off of their process or logic based on their emotions, and men are more logical. What you said was very logical. Like, this is black, this is white, you mix them together, it's gray. We don't want to talk about how gray feels. You know what I mean? And then, like I was asking you guys, did you pick up any like feminine qualities? I ain't gonna hold y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm emotional. I'm emotional.
I'm
That's
very
okay,
emotional.
but I
In
don't think
good
that's a
and bad
feminine
ways, but I'm
quality, though.
super logical too.
But that's not a feminine quality. Like that's a misconception. First of all, you're a human being, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know where this misconception that humans don't have emotions. Like, oh, you're a man, you can't feel. No, you're going to feel because it's natural. It's how you express those feelings that really matters. But like the whole concept of like, because you have emotions, it makes you feminine. No, it makes you human.
Yeah. And you know what, too? Even going off what you're saying, right? And we talk about a father being present. I agree with you 100%. I think God gave you tears and ability to cry for a reason because you can. You know what I'm saying? But even reflecting on my situation, sometimes them emotions can be real strong. Like I could be real mad or real like I'm hurt or real like in your face or real like I don't want to talk to you. if we going back to fathers, and you know, the book was kind of reflecting on what he was talking about there. I think that's part of your role to be like, hey, son, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You need to calm down in this area. Like my son, when he be in there arguing with his sisters, like, bro, it's 4 of them. Why? And they all just sitting on the couch with their legs crossed, just going at him. He all mad and flipping out. But also, like you said, you got to consider your daughters. I got one daughter who's super emotional, and I have to teach her those parameters too. Like, why you let him get you that mad? Why you arguing with your little brother? He's supposed to be down here, you up here.
Boy, they don't-
Like, what's going on with they don't be
don't care.
arguing
You gotta-
consistently. I be like, ain't you older?
They don't care.
Ain't you the older one?
They don't care.
They're still gonna argue.
You're
You know what I'm saying?
terrible.
But I think they. But I think part of your role is to, you know, like I said, get it from a bird's eye view and kind of shape them a little bit. It's okay to you know, cry, but you need to understand why you cry. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's more like a balance of both worlds. I don't know what type of father I would be if I was just like, oh man never cry. No, that's not true. You're gonna get upset. You need to understand why you upset and what you're gonna do with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because we were talking before we got on the thing about like the dynamics between like having daughters versus having sons, right?
Yeah.
So somewhere in the world they said that like women are supposed to be treated this way, boys are supposed to be treated this way. But the reality is we all walk into this world and face stuff, right? So I remember one of my daughter's teachers said to me, my daughter's 21 now, so she was maybe in like elementary school. And I'll never forget it. He was like, you know, you're a single parent. And although like I've never bad talked her dad, I never will. We've had times where we just had to grow up, right? The both of us. Now it's not one-sided. But for the most part, like he's always been the best dad he could be. Whatever and what that looked like for him. Right. So he's never been what I would consider like an absent parent or anything like that. But he just did what he could do with the skills that he had, right? So I remember her teacher saying, you know, you like you said, like I'm a rock. I'm down I'm hard all the time, right? And I remember that. And now fast forward to having a son, my daughters be like, you would have never let me. You would have knocked me, you know, whatever. And I'm just like, am I different now?
To your son, that's great.
But right. See how but like because, and so I was saying to Curtis earlier, right? So my son, who I don't feel like I coddle, but other people feel like I coddle him. But I'm a girl, right? I've always been a girl. I know what it takes for me to have to be able to survive the day. So I know that I have to give my daughters those skills to survive the day, right? So I've always made sure, so that didn't leave a lot of time for me to be like the loving, nurturing mom, not in the like ideal way, because I was busy chiseling. Like, no, you gotta have this skill. You gotta be able to do this. You gotta know how to, you know, stand up with your chest out when you have to. You gotta know when to stand in front. You gotta know when to stand behind. Like, you gotta stand beside. Like, there's all these things that you have to know before you get out of this door, right? And even though it's like, oh, you have 18 years, you have 21 years. Those years come.
They come too fast.
It's like yesterday you was 3 and today you're 21, right? So it's like I'm trying to make sure you have all the things that you need, how to address the world, how to function in the world, how to be a young lady but not get taken advantage of. Like all the things that, like you said, be the girl that everybody wants but no one can get. And then with that, trying to teach them like boys are savvy. They going, you know, but it's just mom, right? It's just mom saying like boys savvy. So they ain't really, you know, getting it from that way.
Until they hear from someone else.
Right. They're not, it's like mom is just saying, you know, and so like, and then there's my son who I'm just like, I'm not a black man. I don't know what tools necessarily that he needs to walk out with. I know that he needs this chiseling. I'm chiseling some, but it's I can guarantee that it's not to the level that it should be chiseled. Like I can make him tough. I can make him hard. Like you said, you don't want to see your son fight. I'd be like, punch him in the neck. Like, right. I am. My son is like a little, you know, for here. And because like my girls are older than him, so he got a lot of he got a little bit tougher because we are a no bars household, right? We talk crazy to each other, and they're not like disrespectful, but we rip all day.
I
So
love it.
it's like
I love
he can take anything outside because he
Uh-huh.
at home.
But you
He's
trained
getting
already.
bragged on, and we don't care
You
that you're
trained him.
you're 10, you know, whatever. But then they wrestle, and they always wrestle. And I remember once he get like real frantic, like, "Oh my God," you know. I'm like, "No, he's good. He's a boy. He'll be all right," you know. But then he's concussed my daughter twice, and he's 10. She's 21, but he's hit her hard enough.
WWE.
Right. But
Yeah.
then so I had to rein that in though, because the things that he can do to them because they're much bigger. I was like, you can't go jumping off, fly diving off something to another 10-year-old.
Boom.
You're gonna
Yeah.
break him, you know. But then I made so I got kind of balance between. My answer is always like, hey, your son, somebody took his armband and your wife was like, get him another one, right? I'm like, somebody took it, go punch him in the throat
We'll get it back.
and get it back.
Yeah.
And mom got a problem with it, so
Broken up.
come see it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's me, right? And my son is like, so you want me to punch him in the neck?
Mhm.
And I'm like, right in the neck. So they will have nothing to say after that point. They're gonna be guessing for ear. Like, you know, I'm that parent,
I
right?
just wanted to double check and make sure that's what you said.
Right. He wants to make sure it's like, so I'm not gonna be in trouble.
Exactly.
Just so we're
Need to
clear.
know.
So
What you said.
So it kind of, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to tie it back together, but I think you kind of answered like a question that you asked earlier. You know what I'm saying about why don't they? And I might be wrong. Who knows? But why don't they ask about how the females feel in terms of their fathers not being there? You know what I'm saying? But it sounds like what you just spelled out was you knowing as a woman what your daughters need, how to gauge them, how to hone in on them a certain way, and on your son, you know what I'm saying, take it a little bit easier. With me, knowing how to hone in on my son and different stuff like that, he definitely gets that work, and he get over on his mom heavily. No question. Black moms towards their sons, boy, it's a different ball game. You know what I'm saying? But that's cool because, I mean, if you're with the person, I guess you can balance it out. It becomes conflictual at times when it's like, no, we ain't buying another armband versus we got money to buy him another one. I'm like, this is a life lesson. Let's just get him another one. You know what I'm saying? But on the flip side of it, there's two things. With my girls, I give them the same type of like jewels and information and all that stuff, a lot of affection, but I've never like wrestled with them, never hit them. Like I don't give them that rough, you know what I'm saying,
But they
part
go
of
out there
life.
and fight.
But they need to know that, you know what I'm saying? So now we trying to catch up, but my son gets it all, and then there's a benefit with him. You know what I'm saying? With me and him, there's stuff that my daughters don't say to me that he can say. And I'm like, oh, for real? Like we was talking today. If one of my daughters told me that, especially when they were younger, he in the 4th grade. So my daughter in the 4th grade, like, oh, Dad, yeah, I had plenty of boyfriends. I just broke up with one a couple months ago.
That's one of the questions, isn't it? Right. That's one of the questions in the box.
You know what I'm saying?
What?
But my son, we sitting on the couch today. I'm like, man, you ain't got no riz. He's like, man, what? I had a girl till you took my phone. You know what I'm saying? She like me, I like her. We was wrapped. I was like, oh, for real? You know what I'm saying?
See, that ain't fair.
Yeah, it
Ain't no fair at all.
It ain't, man. It's
How old is your daughters?
I got 4 girls. So they're 11 and 12, 15, and one about to be 20.
And then the boys what?
10.
And he's allowed to have a girlfriend with the girls in?
And you know what they be like, woo, things have changed.
Oh yeah, that's how they be. That's how they be.
Oh,
But-
things have changed around here.
And I agree because it goes back to like your kids saying that to you,
That's tough.
and I agree. Like even with both sexes, right? Like my oldest daughter will be like, y'all would have never went for that.
Yeah, for
Ever.
real.
Down to her little sisters. You know what I'm saying? Which is true. You evolve as a parent. You kind of loosen up or see stuff you did with the older one to be like, we gotta do that a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But on the flip side, my son does have a little more like leeway. but he also gets it way harder than them.
Okay.
Like, dude will get cussed out. Like, about that track armband, when we got away from his mom, we was walking around the track, and I was like, did you ask him for your band back yet? No, I just didn't. I went in. I ain't gonna even tell you what I said, but my head was like exploding, and I told him, I said, I don't care what you gotta do.
You need to get that band back.
You need to get that band back. Period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't in those nice of words.
I get it.
With my daughters, I would have never said it like that. It's, well, you know, you got to think about.
Oh no, you're gonna get your stuff back.
You
Care what you're gonna get your stuff today, right now.
Same, same one, but it's just a
And
different
a different
approach.
delivery.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know one,
That's my
like
point.
I know my daughters, and this is why I say in a relationship, you can't change people. They are who they are right now.
Right, when
You
they
know what
pull
I'm saying? So there's one, and I know what role I play, as dad. There's one who's very emotional. I know if I go for the juggler, she
Ain't gonna
carrying it for a long time.
Yep.
Devastation. There's another one who just be like, just give me the information, I'm good. I don't need to do, I know what she on. There's another one that's just gonna look at you like, and she hear you, but it's a lot she want to say. But she's gonna do what you need her to do. And then the oldest one, it seems like she don't hear you, and she gonna shut down in her own way, but she might take it later and process it and do something with the information. You know what I'm saying?
That's a lot.
Completely different people,
Okay,
man.
I don't care what type of person you is.
That's a
You
lot.
won't get that band today. I don't care how you figure it out between here and across this part, but you're gonna get
Don't
that
come home.
band.
Don't come in the house without that band.
That part. I'm gonna be
Don't
like
come
my
out
mom.
without
You better not come back in my house
Without
without
that
your
band.
stuff.
Yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. There's. I feel like moms are way more because I see it in social work, in life, in my family, in the shop, in my household. Whatever the case may be. I feel like moms are just like over their sons, like top notch suckers. Like
That's how
the
my
little
mom is.
dudes can get over.
That's how my mom is.
But at the same time, when your daughters understand how to work it, that there's a high male sucker level too. My
First of
daughters
all,
be getting over on me.
I'm not no sucker when it comes to my son.
Ain't what it is, you know?
Not at all. He can't get that. Listen, and I think that's the part that's like, because we just had the same thing, like with the fun with the little girls, right?
Yeah.
When I first seen it, I was just like, whatever. He's in the fourth house, whatever. And then it hit me like, I'm sorry, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
I took delete every group message they got a girl, delete their number. Mom, I can't take them out when they delete their numbers. And if I find you texting, calling, any of them, you're done. And he's like, oh, but I don't care who's in your class. Like the same rules apply. They're not different because you're a boy. You can't. I didn't let your sister talk to boys on the fun of this
You don't
game.
get that treatment either.
You're not talking to boys.
I feel that. I feel that.
So I follow the same.
Yeah.
There are things that, like,
You don't wait.
he gets that they didn't, like,
Like what?
Like
I mean,
what?
no, it's just like this, right? But it has nothing to do with he's a boy, right? It
Okay.
has all to do with that he's the youngest, and then you're an only child.
Oh, okay.
So it's really not. So, like, for his birthday last year, he got a PS5, right? So my oldest one, who's 21, is like, well, wait a minute.
I ain't never.
We ain't never, right? We had
I'm
to
like,
share.
I told him like, hey, PS5 right now, yeah. So.
Right, but my thing is like, so I explain, like I say to her, I don't know why it's always a 21-year-old
Yeah.
to the 10-year-old.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in age.
Yeah.
Difference. But I just feel like, well, first of all, I had less money back then, so that's number one.
Yeah.
But number two, like there were two of them, right? So I've never been a parent that's like everybody's gonna get their own individual game.
Yeah.
Because we live in the same house, got
Yeah.
to share. Okay, guys, this game is gonna be in the living room
We
for
got three
whoever wants
controllers.
to use it, right? But now with my son, he's 10. The next one up is 18, and then the next one is 21.
He need his own.
He's an only child.
Yeah, he need his own.
He's by himself, right? So it's like, who I'm getting from the share with? Like, there ain't nobody, you know what I mean?
Ain't no-
So he got a PlayStation for his birthday. And then this year he got a cell phone, which I was adamantly against because I didn't feel like he needed one.
Oh, daddy.
What you need a phone for? We together all the time. We best friends. You don't need to talk to nobody else. Like, you don't go nowhere but with me. I don't care about the little kids. Like, so I didn't feel like he needed one. But what pushed me to like, okay, he can have it was knowing that now 18-year-old will be leaving for college soon, right?
Mhm.
My 21-year-old is already in college, so she's only home for summers. So it was like, so first of all, who's supposed to watch him now? I don't know. I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
But the cell phone's about to be his new babysitter. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, we gotta, but we're not there yet. But for us to get there, you gotta have time to learn what the boundaries are, what my expectations are. So before we get to, I can leave you in the house alone with the phone, you know, whatever, I need to make sure that you understand why you have it, what the rules are for it, what the boundaries. So far, it's been failing. I've had the phone more than he has because he don't get it yet.
Oh,
It's not working. But this is why it needs to happen now, so that when we reach the point that it's like, okay, you can stay in the house. Here's your phone, you know, whatever. He knows this is what the expectation is.
Mhm.
I've never been one to just kind of throw it and say, here, figure it out. No, I want to make sure that you understand what my expectations are.
Mhm.
And then from there, we mold and we move.
Mhm.
Because you're going to mess up, you're going to make errors, and that's okay. That's a process of learning.
Mhm.
But once I know that you got the concept,
Yeah,
my
you know,
leniency goes smooth out the window.
Yeah, you
Because
know,
now I understand. I just had to confiscate it last night because Honey was in his room on the phone at midnight, FaceTiming
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook.
on a school night. You're not even allowed on the phone this late. I made you turn off the PlayStation 3 hours ago, which meant it was bedtime.
Yeah.
Talking about, oh, I didn't know I was allowed on the phone. Oh, so that's your answer. And I gave him 3 tries. That's your answer. So with every lie, I took something else. Okay, so you didn't know you weren't allowed on the phone. Don't touch the PlayStation until I tell you to.
Dang.
You didn't know you was allowed on the phone. Turn off the TV and don't turn it back on until I tell you to.
See?
So until you really figure out what the truth is, you don't touch anything.
Mm.
So, and summer starts tomorrow.
It's good parenting.
So he'll be chilling in the dark for a couple of days until he finds out what the truth is.
These
And
kids
then we'll
need
go
that type-
from
they
there.
need that type of parenting right now.
But he's a terrorist. Don't let him.
He's a
Definitely a
terrorist.
terrorist. Don't, you know, because he has his things like, you know, he may or may not still get picked. I don't pick him up no more, actually. He's he's too heavy.
I heard that.
This girl,
How long she put
This
you
woman.
He's too heavy
This
now.
used to pick this boy up out the barber chair after he done told me about his day in school, fully articulating stuff, what he wants and don't want, all this other stuff. He about 6'2",
He is not.
and he'll be knocked out,
She'll pick them up.
and she is picking
He's
him
a
up.
hard
She gotta have the strongest back in America.
That's
I lived in an apartment, bro, on like the 6th floor. She would carry him, get on the elevator, go downstairs. She can't put him down, he's asleep. Get off the elevator, walk to wherever her car was, and did this consistently.
He
Strongest
sleeps.
back in America.
He's a hard sleeper, and he's a kid that, like, you know how there's those kids that wake up and whine?
nope.
Well, he's that kid.
So,
It wakes up and it's like, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
bro,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna deal with this today, right now.
Yeah.
He notoriously falls asleep. It's like Curtis turns on the Clippers. It's like, and he sleeps hard. Like, it ain't even like a little nap. He slumps. So it's like, okay, I'm just go ahead and pick him up and take him to the car because I ain't about to deal with this crying and screaming or whatever, and I don't want to hear it. So what you want to do is you want to stay asleep, and I'm gonna have a peaceful ride.
Wow.
I'm gonna wake you up when you get
I'm
up.
thinking about my son last year and probably being the same size that he is now. Gotta have the strongest back in America. I'm not lifting this Negro up.
And then it's like, you know,
No.
you don't even realize it, right? Because like I would look down and he got his little, you know, and it's like, okay. And then it's like, I'm not holding you. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Get down. Like
You
there's
see
times
him-
you just don't notice
You
that
see him on her shoulder. He got mustache.
he
Oh my God.
he is thin. He did
Oh
not have
my
no mustache.
God.
But he
Like
is,
that's
he's
a grown
definitely
couple.
like in that way, he's definitely baby. But it's again, it ain't just me though, because he has older sisters, right? So everybody, it's not the boy, it's the youngest child,
Yeah.
right? So it's not necessarily because he's a boy, because we can hear less. But he's the last grandson.
Yeah.
He's the last of, you know, my Mohicans.
Yeah.
So and then they're significantly older. So they baby him.
Dang. 10 to 18 to 21. That's a gap.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's
they
crazy.
you know, they coddle him, they give him what so he's just all around spoiled, right? So there's that, but it's not because it's a boy, it's because he's the last one.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I don't think that's ever like a battle you're gonna win with a mom. She ain't never gonna be
No,
like,
I would admit it. I
You
would
know
tell,
what I'm
like,
saying?
I would tell you, like, it's definitely because he's a boy. Like I told you, like, I'm not as hard on him,
yeah.
even though, like, in theory, I know that I should probably be harder on him. But it's like I don't know to what level he needs because that's not a path that I've ever had to walk.
But see, Sam,
I do know what my girls need because I walk that path.
you so deep in it.
Yo, this is
She's so deep in it, she don't even hear like the little stuff that I'm picking up on. I'm like, sucker.
He's
But you know what, too, at the same time, my son is the youngest, you know, and I try to provide that balance. Even he's my only son, you know what I'm saying? So then you got,
one too.
you know what I'm saying? You got that factor, but he does have 4 older sisters. You know what I'm saying? One is 10 years older. You know what I'm saying? Then you got a mom who's a sucker.
You gonna stop calling her a sucker?
He's
I'm
living.
gonna call her
He
later.
is living that life, man. This, if I want to get something done in the house, I go through him. I come home and be like, "Hey, Curtis, man, I want to watch the football game tonight. Can I have some wings? Don't you?"
Oh, that doesn't work.
Oh,
See,
that's
that
how
doesn't
that
work.
works.
That
That's
does
how
not
you
work.
get the wings.
Listen, and it's so
I got
funny.
some wings in the NFL game.
That
with my
does
feet
not
up,
work.
and they had to cook nothing.
So my boyfriend moved in.
Yeah, I know. And
His
you
son
did
has
that.
been
You
with
play
us,
that back.
right? So we actually have like in the house now, right now with Summer. We have a 21-year-old, an 18-year-old, 17-year-old boy who's about to be 18, and then a 10-year-old. The 17-year-old tries it all the time, like, hey, go tell your mom. And I'm like, that don't work. You know, it's still gonna be enough. You go back and tell him no, and now it's gonna be enough. Like my son won't even do it now because he knows that if I pick up on you trying to be a messenger, now I'm taking something from you, and it's still enough. You gonna risk it? Is it worth it for you?
He's still a rookie because he can't.
We gotta go to the game.
Or he
Yeah.
just can't
He
finesse
can't-
me
yeah,
because
he-
I've been a mom for a lot of years.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
saying.
you
Like
do
he
it on
ain't
the
got
side
the,
for- yeah.
he ain't got the, you know what I'm
He
saying?
can't finesse me.
The
That was
razzle
like,
dazzle, you know
oh,
what
he
I'm
can't
saying?
dazzle me.
You gotta figure it out.
So what if
I smell
you
his
came?
underarms every day. I
So
bet
what
he
if
can't
you
dazzle
came?
me.
So what if you came home, right? Let's say a night like tonight. Nothing is going on. You just go to the crib. You don't have dinner cooked already,
I don't.
and
Figure it out.
he's like,
Bought lunch
Mom.
meat yesterday.
he's like, "Mom, you know what I'm saying? Even that, Mom, can we have some burgers or can we have some hot dogs? What you gonna say?"
You
No.
have that lunch meat that's in the refrigerator. I'm not that person. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that. No. Mm-mm. Guess what? I taught him how to use the air fryer. Let's find independence in our life.
That's the
okay?
first. That's the main thing. You
Okay?
teach them that.
And how
Okay.
to use the microwave, and he's allowed to cook while he's supervised.
Yeah.
Okay, because you got to be able to survive in life. So these are the skills that you need to have. So he can cook as long as somebody's standing in the kitchen with him
Yeah.
on the stove. He can use the microwave as he chooses, and he can use the air fryer as he chooses.
Yeah.
So if you want a burger,
Yeah.
you and the Foreman girl can have a blast. Because that's the only way you're gonna get it. I'm not
Yeah.
doing it. I have a rule at my house even now. Like if I'm out today, right? So if I don't get home until let's just say 9 o'clock. If I stop and get me something to eat, I may pick him up something just because he's the only person in the house that technically shouldn't have to fend for himself, right? So I might call him and say like, hey, did you eat? And if he says like, oh yeah, I made myself, whatever, all right, cool. But if he say no, I'll probably pick him up something because he's 10. He shouldn't have to fend for himself. But everybody else in the house, if you didn't eat, you want your own friends. So I walk in and they be like, you didn't get me none? I didn't, because you've been home since what time? The kitchen has been here the whole time, and the refrigerator is fine. Unless I didn't go grocery shopping, and it's like, okay, I should probably feed y'all.
Yeah.
But I know that I went grocery shopping. You had options. You just chose like, oh, we're gonna wait till mom get home. Well, good luck. The peanut butter and the jelly is in the cabinet. The bread is on the top of the fridge. Make it happen, friends, because I'm not doing this.
Yeah, that's tough, man. And I used to be kind of like that, but I think now we to the point where, like you said, kids be fending for themselves, man. We cook and stuff, but most time, when I get there, I can just figure out what I want to eat, whatever the case may be. They done all ate random, just different things. People eating Hot Pockets, fries and nuggets.
Whatever
you know what I'm
works.
saying? And I think, man, that's like a shift in our culture now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's a good shift or a bad shift.
What's wrong with everybody eating table at the same time?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just when
That used to be like, even my mom, like as a single parent when we were little, we would all sit at the table together. sometimes she would, but definitely like me and my siblings and stuff. The rest of my family, you know, who either had nuclear families or didn't, when I would go over to their house, they sat at the table at the big cookouts and all that. People sat at the table, but now that seems to be like shifting. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely let that slide during the pandemic is when it fell off for us. Cause that's always, so not only like, so for my household, not only was sitting at the table a requirement, but there was no electronics at our table.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
So we come to the table, we talk about our day, which really was Amari. Amari is like, to know him, you will love him, right?
Mhm.
But he is like very vocal. He is my son through and through.
Mhm.
But we'll be sitting at the table, we'll eat, and then if he's telling us about his day and everybody quiet, he'll just smooth hit you. So, Anaya, how was your day?
Really?
Like, you're not about to sit here and just be quiet. He's gonna go around the table. Everybody gonna talk today. That's the type of kid he is, right? So we don't do like stuff and stuff at the table. But then during the pandemic, we were all trapped in the house together. So I kind of like let up on the, we gotta eat at the table because like we see each other all day. We don't got to see each other again today. We didn't probably had, at some point of the day, we had breakfast or lunch here at this here table. So at dinner, I kind of start letting everybody do their own thing. But then from there, we kind of never got back to the table because now everybody's gotten used to like, Amari's at the table by himself. He turns on the TV, so he's watching TV while he's eating. My middle daughter, she doesn't even eat when we eat most of the time anymore. She's when she's hungry, because she's, you know, a teenager, and when she's hungry, which is at 3 o'clock in the morning, she comes down and, you know, makes herself whatever. I don't know, they weird. I can tell you, they're just spiritual people. But so we lost that like cohesive dinner time type of thing. Every once in a while, like if it's a holiday or like I cook out or something, we typically eat at the table and we have conversation. Or we crack jokes, you know, whatever. But on a day-to-day, we don't. And it's just like, dang, I don't know who's raising y'all. Y'all out here in the Wild Wild West. It's just bad.
Right.
We're ruining the kids these days.
And that's funny too, because one thing I've always heard was like, well, not always heard, I found out like at some point in college was about these like tabletop discussions, you know, where families who don't look like us sat down with their kids, talked about their day, of course, but they talked about business, how to do this, how to do that. And it seemed like we had started really pushing for that. And like you said, maybe the pandemic, maybe whatever happened, now we back dispersed again. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the living room watching TV, and, you know, they in the dining room where everybody doesn't eat together. I wonder, you know what I'm saying, like how that plays out in the long run. You know what I'm saying?
It plays out terribly.
They definitely do.
It does. I say all the time that this generation is ruining the kids for the future. We really are. We messed them all the way up. It's terrible.
And grandmothers is like 24 now.
It's just, we just really messed up. Like our generation is the downfall of future generations. I just accepted it. I'm a part of the problem.
Yeah, and even the
like I'm a part of the problem.
even the grandmother with the, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot. They don't even hear no more. Like they
Nah,
twerking and stuff. It's crazy. But I think
I mean, they all, I mean, you just got pictures that they got on Instagram and Facebook where you got the grandma, the mom, and the daughter. They all standing side by side. You can't
tell who's who, right?
Yeah,
They all look young, ready to go.
Yeah, but it's just like the idea of like, right? I know, I'm sure all of us, right? We grew up older parents, right?
Yeah.
But there was like, they came from a generation of shut the F up. You know, like you were to be seen and not heard, right?
Yeah, smack them
That's the generation they came from, right?
All that.
So then fast forward to them having us, they were like, well, we're not going to be that harsh, but we still about to knock you smooth out. You could be heard a little bit, but don't be too loud because I'm gonna knock you. You know, we came from that, right? So then here come us as parents, these 70s, 80s babies, like, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna let our kids think, they can talk, they can have thoughts, they can have feelings.
Where did that come from?
Now these little terrorists don't listen, they want to shoot people. These is ex-crack babies, 3 generations later. It's all bad. We did it. It was us. We should have beat them like our parents beat us. Like, that was the, and I don't mean like abuse type of beat, but I mean just like the rearing that we got from our parents. Like, we didn't die. Right? We didn't die. We didn't. You know, I'm not saying like go tie your kid to a pole and beat them because that's terrible. That ain't never good. That ain't never gonna work. But we got a type of discipline, whether it was physical, verbal, whatever, that put us
You were scared of them, just like
the
you scared
fear of
God.
God. There you go, like
You're
into
scared of
you
them,
in a way that was like not so much a fear, but a respect.
That's it.
Right.
That's what it was.
Like
yeah.
I'm grown, and I'm as a grown woman, you will never hear me cussing in front of my elders. You will never see me disrespect nobody's mom. I might say it in my head, but I'm gonna do like I do when a kid, like,
Right.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna walk away because that's all I can do, right? And I'm grown because that's how I was raised,
Yeah.
right? I don't cuss in front of my mom.
Disrespect.
I don't even cuss in front of my 2 older sisters, and we ain't that far apart. But that's how I was raised,
Yeah.
right? But these little hooligans these days, they different. They don't care who
I mean, they
around,
got
who
what you call it on
listening,
speed dial. And you put your hands on them, they call what you call it.
call the people.
And then I think because of like the way that we were parented and raised, we tried to take a step back a little bit. I don't know how good that is, you know what I'm saying, how bad it is. But they are, I tell my kids, they're very opinionated. That's gonna be great when you're adult, but you might not survive your childhood.
That's it,
You know what I'm
right
saying?
there.
And they're still and I gotta say the other side of it is, even though, you know, we didn't air them out like we got aired out, like my mom didn't play. She was Zorro with it. You know what I'm saying? There were some things that happened early on with raising kids that I was like, I don't want to do it that way. You know, I'm kind of too strong to be, you know, getting at y'all like that. So they still do have that same, to an extent, high level of respect, but you can tell in some areas it's like fumes. Like
It is, yeah.
they waiting to test or waiting to be like, you a little too big to get hit. Now this assault, this ain't no beat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right. Yeah, like I was never
This
like,
was assault.
you know,
That's assault.
I wanted to not be the parent who whoops, right? Because well, okay, I didn't really actually get, but maybe 2 whoopings in my life ever. You know, 'cause I was a really great kid, and I didn't need any whoopings and stuff like that. So we're just gonna go with that. That's my story. We're gonna go with that.
Stick with it.
But what I can say is the 2 or 3 that I've ever gotten in my life, they didn't
Shut it
really,
up.
they taught me to be sneaky. They didn't teach me to not do it, just make sure my mom didn't catch me doing it, right? It's different. But I also just was like, this is purposeless. So with my kids, I didn't want to be the person that whooped them. Although I realized, and like you said, you grow as a parent, you learn something. Like, even though I didn't want to whoop them, I didn't really make sure they got the lesson all the time either. But I was a petty parent, so it's like, I'm gonna get you, but just in a different kind of way. So I'm not gonna whoop you, but I'm gonna wait until you're real excited that SpongeBob is coming on, and I'm gonna take the cord out of your teeth. I was that parent, right? Like I was that parent. It's like, so you don't really know when your punishment, just know it's coming.
Yep, there's no it's on the way.
So it's gonna happen. It don't have to happen today. You know what I mean? Like my middle daughter was really into Barbies. So her punishment used to be, you can't touch your Barbies. And she would, like, you know, I said those emotional kids. She would walk around the house depressed, head down. I just don't understand why I can't touch y'all. Like, and she would walk back and forth past her little doll houses because she wasn't allowed to play with them, right? But that's what mattered. Like, so I've always been like, I'm going to take the thing that you value, because taking something that you don't care about don't mean nothing. Well, I'm going to tell you can't go outside if you don't go outside. What's that mean? Nothing. Right? So I've always been more of a creative, like, what thing can we do? But then I've also never been the parent to, like, hold on to the punishment. It's just like, if you did a thing, the punishment is over when the issue's resolved. So for a lot of instances, the punishment lasts as long as you make it. If I tell you to clean the bathroom, and you got to clean the bathroom, but it's not the way that I taught you how to clean this bathroom, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to do it again, and you still don't do it right, so now you're on punishment. But you're only on punishment as long as it takes you to figure out how to clean this bathroom. So once you figure it out, the punishment's over. But if it takes you 5 days, then 5 days it'll be. It's really on you at that point how long you want it to be. But with all things, it comes like, what lesson did that teach? Probably nothing, but I got my bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, probably not the thing that I needed to teach, but I got my bathroom cleaned, right?
You know what I think too? I think every kid, and this is just my opinion, I think every kid has to be parented different. I think that was my prayer when I, especially like as a young father, like, guide me and make me the type of parent that this kid needs. You know what I'm saying? Because I think we come out swinging, trying to be what your parent was. You know what I'm saying? and now you lighting people up, and it's like, are they getting a lesson? What is this really doing for them? I had some concerns about, my son being a boy and me thinking he could take a harder hit, you know what I'm saying? Or on the reverse side of it, hitting my daughters and they growing up and they remember you as the first person that was hitting on them, you know what I'm saying? So I try to kind of flip it, even though now I got some people on my hit list. You know what I'm saying? I feel like some people might need a tune up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they might get it. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that. But I just try to go through some different like channels to get what we need first. You know what I'm saying? Like you said with that creative parenting, some people need to talk. Like I said, my youngest daughter, the baby of the girls, she been going like that since she was younger. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is to her.
Mhm.
It's real black and white. You'd be like, why did you do that? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That answered nothing.
Yeah, that's not helping nothing that she has going on. You know what I'm saying? So each one of them, you got to parent in a different way. And like, just because my son a boy, don't mean I could be drilling him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I've even had, family members. I ain't gonna put them on the spot. They know who they are. Like, yo, why is you punching that boy like that? You crazy?
Right.
That's like my son. We about to have a whole issue. Do you know if you catch him at the right place, his heart can stop? Meanwhile, I was right. You know what I'm saying? It happened to DeMar Hamlin. He got hit in the right spot at the right time. Had a bad situation. Don't hit them boys. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't think that necessarily. I do think sometimes people need to tune up.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you got to show people who you are.
Yeah.
This is what it is. But I don't think that most situations don't call for physical hitting, right? I feel like there might be some, maybe, but most situations I feel like can be resolved with conversation, honestly, or with like understanding. Because me beating you doesn't mean you understand what's happening, right? Me hitting you, that make me feel better, perhaps, if I'm that type of parent. But that's it, right? Like, so there was no lesson learned. Besides, let me make sure she don't catch you do it again. But there was like no real lesson, right? And that, so it's like, what do we do to deter your behavior? Because that's my goal, right? My goal is for you not to do this thing again, to use your mind and think before you do this thing. So if that's my goal, me punching you in your chest ain't going. That's not really necessarily going to get me to that, right? But you said something that was like, ooh, that concept of like your daughters, hitting your daughters, and like, I don't want their thoughts to be like, this is how men interact with women when they do something that they don't like, right?
Which is crazy.
So I want to actually ask you as a dad and as a man, as two men in this room, dealing with females or children in general, right? We're talking about like dads and their importance in a kid's life, right? Do you feel like in cases where the dad is absent and mom, because I heard you say earlier that like you don't want to be a part of a situation where the mom is keeping the dad out of the picture, right? But do you feel like there are some situations that mom choosing to keep dad out is for the best?
It's beneficial for the kids. It's beneficial
Right.
for the kids.
So I'm gonna give y'all a scenario. Okay, so we're not really a scenario, but like, so one of the things that I've always said to my girls, right, even in terms of their dad, like I said, he's never been an absent dad or anything like that. But one of the things that I've always said was like, if they called him and he didn't pick up, okay, he might be busy, he'll call you back, right? But I was never okay with, you're not going to keep calling him, because what you won't learn is how to chase a man. I don't care if that man is your dad. That is something that you won't learn in this house, right? And that's not, and he wasn't that type of dad. He didn't have to necessarily chase him, but it was just like, he's probably busy, he'll call you back, you don't got to do a phone up. But I didn't want that to be the thing that they learned. Like, you have to get his attention, you got to do tricks. That's not what we're doing. We're not going to do that, right? And thinking about like those things, right? Hitting, like I said, my mom didn't allow people to hit us. Men, women, anybody couldn't hit us. But like that concept, right? Like as a dad, I don't want to hit my daughters because I don't want them to believe that this is how a man responds to you if you do something wrong,
Mhm.
right? Because that becomes a thing. Like my dad hit me, so it's okay for you to hit me too,
Right.
You ain't my dad.
right? Like, so does that necessarily create that, or are we just like kind of blowing it? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like I remember a friend told me a long time ago in response to like my son and his dad, and Matt like struggles with where I wanted to go with that relationship,
Mhm.
if anywhere, right? And she said, and she's married, she has children with her husband, and then she has children out, before her husband, right? So they had children together, and she had children before him. But she said, so listen, I'm gonna say this to you, and it's gonna sound kind of crappy, but it's the truth. And she's like, so the question is, if you want your son to have the presence of a man, is his dad the man you want him to be like? And I was like, ooh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Right? It blew me, right? Because for me as a mom having a son, I was like, ooh, this ain't, I can do girls, right? I'm a girl. I was very concerned. I think I should have done with you before. Like I was very concerned about being a single mom with a son. And I was like, he needs his dad. Like that's just the bottom line. We got to figure out how that works because I'm not a man, right? And in my mind, it was like he needs his dad. And then she was like, but does he? And I'm like, yes, he does. And she's like, but is that the man that you want your son to grow up to be like? Is that the man that you want him to emulate and look up to? And I was like, ooh, but it's not that's not the person I want him to be.
That gets deep.
So then it's like, so what do you do, right?
Yeah,
because he still needs this thing,
Still
but
needs
that
father.
may not be the thing that he needs, right? Because,
Yeah, see, that's
and then the flip side to that, right? Because I'm always like, let's look at it from all angles. As a mom, is there now some bias in it? Because you're not the man that I think you should be. That doesn't make you not a good man, or that doesn't make you not a good father.
Yeah, that's what
You're just not who I deem to be a good father. I mean, in this particular case, it's not that, but just as a general thing, like, is that me being biased as a mom? Like, because you're not who I say you should be. Because I see that a lot. I see women who withhold their children from their dad, not because he's a bad dad or whatever, but just because he ain't what you think he should be.
Oh, and
that's different.
Crazy.
Man,
you know what's crazy? Because I agree with you and I follow you, right? And there's a couple things about that at my old job where we all know where I worked. I was doing a fatherhood training. And in those trainings, some of the most triggered people were caseworkers who had bad relationships with their fathers.
Sounds about right.
And they're out here in the community every day making decisions on their caseload based on that,
Yep.
And then the other part of that, and I hope I don't lose it. The other part of that is because you were saying, I think I'm about to lose it. The other part of that was, so they have the type of man that you want that person to be. This is the thing that's interesting, right? I think I don't know the number, but let's just say some women who grow up with their fathers, in their household. Who are like daddy's girls, who have a great relationship with their father. It could be my kids, you know what I'm saying, who have a great relationship with me. To your kid and your daughter, your example of a father was just like, you know what I'm saying? Right. He is the standard of what it should be. Right. But, and I'm going to try to go back to what you were saying, but to the person, the mom, that Negro do not add up to what they think a real guy is supposed to be. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So you got here and you got here. So to me, my feedback for that would be to a person, not necessarily you, but I would want them to think about, if we're looking at his bad qualities or good qualities, whatever, that's not working, is that stuff based on the relationship and what you didn't get, or y'all interaction,
Yeah.
or your judgment of him and not wanting his son to be like him
Yeah.
based on his character as a man.
The reason why.
You know what I'm saying? Is he just a scumbucket that's like running around robbing, jailbird, and you like, I don't want my son to do that? Or is he a great guy, but he was a scumbucket to you? You know what I'm saying?
But that don't
But
make him a bad person.
maybe it's neither, right? Maybe he's not necessarily a scumbucket, right? But okay, we'll take a man, right? We'll name, I don't know, just a random guy. And Randy. We'll take a guy, right? And this guy is not necessarily like not in the streets. He's not in out of jail. None of that, right? But he chooses when he wants to be a dad, right? So he wants to be a dad from January to March, okay? And then he's MIA until August, right? And then from August to September, he's dead in a month, right? And then he's MIA, right? So then as a parent, do you allow someone to yo-yo your children in that way, right? Do you allow your son to think that this is what men are supposed to do, right? Because one day this boy is going to grow up to be a man, to be somebody's dad. Is that the example that you want for him, that you can jump in and out of your kid's life, right? So not necessarily if the person's like a bad person, but the way that he parents or the style in which he's choosing to parent may not be conducive for what you're trying to train your son up to be, right? So then at that point, do you allow, not to mention the emotional toll that it will have on your child with the absence in and out, unpredictability, all that stuff. So do you allow someone to yo-yo with your child in that way? Or do you as a parent be like, listen, we're not doing that? Because they'll say that a woman is like, you're keeping him from his kid. And it's like, is she though?
What my question is, how did the kid end up with the woman and not with the dad? Why is the main house the woman's house?
And you got the ex-dads.
I don't stuff like that because I agree with everything that you're saying, and then I look at it from like, okay, well, I get everything that the woman is saying, but then why is the son in the woman's household instead of in the man's household? Is it because he don't want to play that position to actually do it? Did y'all actually sit at the table and was like, you know what, you take the kids and I go this way, or what? But you said you got a couple other kids, right?
I mean, I have 3 total.
Well, okay, so you have a person.
I only got 3.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. so when you have a woman in the house that has like maybe let's say this woman has 5 kids, she got 4 girls and a boy is the youngest. But the man is in the circle. I mean, it's in the family, but they don't stay in the same house. And the girls might be 13, 14, 15, and the son might be like 6. Is there a possibility for the son to just, you know what I'm saying, move with the dad? But then, what that question would be, does the dad want to take that responsibility, or is he accepting the fact that she's the nurturer, so I just let her deal with all of that? Because then you're going to catch the downside. I'm calling you every day, you ain't answering. Why aren't you here with your son? Why don't you do that?
I think she put a good spin on it earlier when she talked about maturing, because I think what you're saying, or at least what I'm hearing, is different stages where people are still stuck on a breakup and how much we didn't like each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when you break up, whether it's relationship, marriage, life partner, whatever the case may be, it can get ugly. You know what I'm saying? And everybody trying to keep the ground. You know what I'm saying? Nobody want to give up their kid. They hate you. Yeah. So why did they look at you in a positive light, like you're going to go out and raise this kid?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? The right way. So I think it becomes, a power thing. But if you go back, dang, you were saying something earlier, and I think I lost it. But I think what it comes back down to, even with the example that Sam gave, is what she described is 2 things. Some of it is the person's character that she's not feeling. And then the other part of it is a part that's like an X factor that you can't really predict. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like if you look at our example, well, I'll just speak on me. I won't speak on none of my other siblings. But you know, my dad was missing for a while. You know what I'm saying? A wow, like a lot of wows. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Right, a lot of wows. Multiple wows.
That gave me more of a I ain't gonna do that versus my mom being work. And like I told y'all earlier, she never said nothing bad about it. Like he ain't here, he ain't that. We still went over, stayed the night. You know what I'm saying? She never said nothing negative, so I was able to sit back and be like, I don't like that part of your game right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that works. That's cool. You like eggs. You like lasagna. That's dope. I do too. But that right there, and there's some parts I ain't gonna put people out there like that. It's some parts that he had to go through and experience in life that I was kind of like, as a man and an adult, I'm like, I'm kind of all right with not being around for that period of your life. You know what I'm saying? Because I see the result of it on everybody. And I'm glad I wasn't in the mix at that time.
I think that parenting, just in general, right? I think, especially if you start having kids young, there's a piece of you that's like, you growing up, right? You got everybody, you gotta grow up, but you ain't never been 21 before. Like, you know, so you're like learning and growing, so you're going to make mistakes, right? So now I put two people that had a baby at 21 together, who's growing up themselves, who's learning themselves. It may not be the most productive situation all the time, but at some point, hopefully y'all figure out a good rhythm that works, right?
Yeah.
But I think that like there is something to why do kids end up with their mom?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of those questions that the answers probably can vary 1,000 times, right?
Yeah.
There might be some men who just don't want the responsibility because the reality is it is a responsibility, right? And then there are some men who would love nothing more than, but the mom is like, not mad, you won't.
Yeah.
You know, and there's that piece. There's very few, I would say even like as a parent, I know very few people that would send their son, daughter, whomever, to go live with their dad, right? I know very few. And I know a lot of women, a lot of single women, and they would rather tough it out than send their child with their parents or whatever, and the reasons vary, right?
They right for that?
I don't personally think so, but that's my personal, I don't think there's anything so like my middle daughter, right? I am a strong believer in like you were saying earlier, like there are things that I picked up from my dad that I didn't even know I picked up from my dad, right? I'm the same way. Like when I was growing up, I was like, I guess like the weird one in the house, right? I'm weird, I'm strange, all this, whatever. And then as I got older, my mom would say things to my sister that's like, your sister's still over top or whatever. And then my sister one day was like, because I don't know much about my dad, other than like he was murdered when I was 1. But since I had a stepdad, I didn't ask a lot of questions. Like, it wasn't really interesting to me because there was somebody in that spot. Yeah. So my sister was like, yeah, your dad was like that. So like there's a lot of traits that I had that are more of my dad than my mom. Either A, sees in me, and she doesn't want to admit it because my dad's murder is a pain point for her.
I get it.
So we didn't talk about my dad. And I didn't know that until
later on.
That it was like, it was just too hard to talk about. Which was okay because I didn't ask. So it worked out, with my favor. But so there's things about me that are absolutely on my dad, right?
Right.
So with that, I look at my kids the same way. So there's pieces of me that I see me through and through, right? But then there's pieces of them that I can't deal with, but I realize they might be pieces that are dead. And that might be the pieces of him that I couldn't deal with too, right? So there was like 1 year, my middle daughter was just daughter, right? And I was like, you know what? You need to go stay with your dad. And I called him and I was like, you come get your child, or whatever. I'll drop her off, yada, 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 because I think she needs something that I can't give her. Right? And I wasn't sure what that thing was, but maybe it was something that he would be able to see.
Right.
That situation lasted. I mean, it did last all summer. She stayed all summer, but she couldn't get back fast enough. But her dad's also a Jehovah's Witness, so she was like, wait a minute. The dynamics are very different. And what I will give him credit to is one of the things that he's, especially since they've been older, because that caused like some rifts when they were younger. Yeah. He obviously wasn't Jehovah's Witness when he was with me. Right. But when they got older, one of the things that I again can give him kudos for is like he acknowledged that they were not of the same faith. So he didn't try to force. So like even when she stayed the whole summer, he didn't try to force her into going to meetings. He didn't try. She had a little bit more leniency than the other kids in his household,
Okay.
just because he understood it's like this isn't the life she lives.
Yeah.
So I will give him that credit, but she still was like, too strict for me. I gotta come home.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I felt like there was something that he could give her that I couldn't. And it didn't matter to me that she was a girl.
Right.
What mattered to me was like, what's the best situation for her? But
Right.
I remember my mom, like, she pretty much had a whole meltdown. Like, what do you mean you're gonna sit her dad? And I'm like, well, I mean, it's her dad. Like,
Yeah, you
we
don't do
both
that.
had her. I don't-
Right, yeah.
You know, and I'm like, she can go stay with her dad. No, you can't send her over. And is.
Right,
And
yeah,
did.
right.
And it was fine. Like, she survived. He survived. We all survived. It wasn't like I just dropped her off in the middle of the desert.
Right.
She's with her dad. Like,
Right.
you know, so it was fine. But I also know there are a lot of people who will not, right? To the detriment sometimes of their kids. Like, they just won't relinquish, like you said, that power. It's like, this is mine. It's my. This ain't mine. I don't even want it. I'm doing this under duress. This is ours. You take it, your turn.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I don't want, you know, I've
Yeah.
done. So I don't think there's a problem with like utilizing your other parent
Yeah. Facts.
for what they need to be utilized. You know what I mean? And that's not just for money
Right.
or for whatever. Like,
Might need some time.
they serve a purpose. Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
like, and sometimes it's forced time, but that's okay.
Hey,
You take this kid and it's your turn.
Time.
I'm tapping out.
Yeah,
I'm
facts.
getting out the ring. It's your turn.
Yeah.
You take some time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that,
No, I
right?
think so either.
There's two parents for a reason. And
True.
sometimes your kids need a break from you. Like, if I had to
From
look
you.
at my mom
Yeah.
all day, every day, which I did,
Yeah.
I need a break from you like you need a break from me.
Yeah, that's it.
So go
Okay.
ahead
Yeah, I
and,
need
you
a break.
know, so I think that there is, why kids mostly end up, I mean, because there are those,
Because I just think that will be a forever ongoing argument. Well, not an argument, but a debate when it comes to, well, your dad wasn't there or something. You know, nowadays people use my dad wasn't there, so that's the reason why they act a certain way.
right, which is crazy, but equally, right? So I am, my mom's kids, I'm one of three, I'm the youngest, right?
Okay.
My dad's kids, I'm one of three, but I'm the middle.
Mhm.
And I have a younger sister, and my brother he was an only child. He was 21 when my dad had me. So he was a grown man. He had lived his life.
Mhm.
You know, that time my dad was just like, I want to start all over. I don't know what he
Right.
was doing, but whatever. But then I have a sister that's a year younger than me. And how we absorbed not having a parent, like for me, this is gonna sound so simple, but for me, it was like, something's wrong with you. You're weird. Like, you're mourning a person that you've never met, right? Because he got murdered when I was one, which means I don't remember him. You definitely don't even know he existed.
Right.
But for her, she's felt an absence,
Mm.
even though she's always had a father figure. But she felt an absence, and it showed reared in her life in ugly ways, right? Where I have never felt an absence, and it's never had an effect on me in that way. I've always been like, I mean, I have a day he got killed, and you know, but she's just like, hard day, and I'm just like, you're weird. Like,
Right.
you don't even know this man. For all you know, you could have been a terrible parent. We don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, from my understanding, he wasn't, but for all intents and purposes, he could have been like an abusive, drunk, alcoholic, trap kid. Like, we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know he was murdered before we would have ever gotten in trouble with our race. But like, for her life took a very hard downhill turn for a lot of years because she just felt like life without this parent was just overwhelming for her. And for me, it was just like, this is somebody I never met. I think it's fine. It's like, you know, it's fine. So it's like how things affect people differently and how they function. So she would tell you that growing up without a dad has destroyed her life. I'm going to tell you something very different, but we're of the same man. You know what I mean? We're from, you know, the same dynamics. Her mom was a single mom, well, now 3, but my mom was single. You know what I mean? So like we live kind of the same world, a little bit different.
But
Her
you
mom's
know-
white, but a little bit different.
But you know what's crazy though? I mean, that matches up with what you said earlier. I think you were talking about maybe your relationship and how things for you are like logical and black and white. Either you did it or you didn't. You don't really want to talk about like the emotional part. She sounds like she's more like
All
an
the
emotional
part.
person.
All of it.
So yeah, that's like
Everybody is very in tune with their emotions. Except
Yeah.
everybody wants to talk about how they feel.
Yeah.
They got feelings, and I just be like, why
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay to have feelings. We could talk
Yeah.
about it. But what is that going to solve? Can we talk about it after we solve the problem?
We really got to work through that on one of these episodes. We don't
really need to work through
I
it.
want to understand
Because
that.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, not work through it like we trying to help you like change or something.
No, I don't
But
know.
I've encountered people like that, and I know people like that, and I'm sure people out there do too. And it would be interesting to kind of like go down that path and be like, what did that look like?
It's a short path. It's like, I'm trying to tell you. It may not be a very it's going to just like, because it is or it isn't. It's just, that's it. It's like, it's very black and white. I don't have a lot of gray areas. It's a very black and white world. Because it's either is or it ain't. That's it. Like, we doing it or we not. So it doesn't.
2 hours, baby.
For real?
Ooh.
All
right, y'all. So, like I said, Tough Skin Podcast, episode 7. We got Sam.
Yeah.
We got Monty.
Yes.
Ted.
Ted. I don't know
Drifted
Ted,
off
man.
somewhere. It's been a great episode, a great conversation. Sorry we kept y'all a little bit too long. But as you can see,
Good
conversation was flowing.
Great
Good conversation. We're gonna let y'all go. We'll check y'all out next time.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers next week.
Happy
We're gonna
Father's
say
Day.
Happy Father's Day.
that for sure. Alrighty.
Just let it keep popping up on my screen.
Get yours up there.
Yeah, I hope I ain't do it the wrong way because last time I did it.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, I want to make sure that one turns off.
Yeah. I think I stopped the what's the name first last time. Is it letting you save it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
that's
just gotta hit share and then just title it and then it'll pop up on your IG.
cool.
Somebody was watching our live when Ted was eating a banana and they said the banana eating is distracting.